Hello, and welcome to Dwell Time. I'm Michael Myers, the Clinical Support Manager for Contec Healthcare. We've got 50 days to go until the revised Chapter 797 goes live on November 1st. And throughout this year, we've been holding webinars and providing other resources to help get you ready for that day. One of the most frequent questions we've most recently been getting is around section 7.1.2 of the chapter. And that's when it talks about sterile supplies may be allowed to be reused for a time after opening, but you need to determine that based on your own SOP with some input from the manufacturer. So since this is one of the questions that we've been getting so frequently out in the field, we wanted to bring in a couple of our local experts, so to speak. So I'm pleased to welcome Mark Weinstein, who's our Senior Microbiologist, and then Robert Prigmore, who's our Senior Territory Manager for the Rocky Mountain region. Robert's got such a great perspective. He's out there with customers every day fielding these questions. And then Mark is our sort of technical resource back at headquarters that's helping us come up with these answers. So I want to throw it off to these two to sort of discuss this topic that's been coming up around sterile products after opening.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Michael. I'm excited to speak with you, Mark. Our customers certainly have questions about how long they can use sterile products after opening. One question I'm getting pretty frequently is about expiration dates in BUDs. Can you tell me if those are the same thing?
Sure. Thanks, Robert. So we'll get to the part about sterile after opening, but let's start with all the dates associated with using products like cleaning supplies. So expiration dates might be the easiest to explain. It's the one that's the most regulated. Drugs have expiration dates, chemicals, household chemicals, a lot of things that we use every day in our personal life and professional life have expiration dates. And so the chemicals that we sell, with the disinfectants like TB1 3300 or Paradox or the 70% IPA, they're chemicals and they have some type of stability that needs to be monitored and described on the packaging. So when we look at typical types of packaging, like we've got back here for these critical site wipes, you're going to find some expiration dates actually on the package. And that's related to the chemical stability of the product. And it really doesn't matter whether it's been open or not, but the testing was done before opening. So that's expiration dates for related to chemicals. Now, you'll find other products that have been sterilized. They may be chemicals, they may be wipes, dry wipes, or mop pads. And these products also have an expiration date. And that's related to the sterility validation that was done. So part of that sterility validation is demonstrating the barrier properties of that packaging after it has been, say, irradiated. And so again, those dates will be reflected on the package to say that packaging has been shown to be effective as a barrier up to a certain date. Now let's kind of jump to BUDs and talk about it once and then not again today. So BUDs, or beyond use dates, really, while it talks about how long can I use a product, a CSP, after formulating it, after compounding it, that's really restricted to CSPs. We got to be careful about using the term BUD to describe anything other than a CSP, because it will confuse the auditors and they will start to look at the chapter around BUDs and those time frames, which are relatively short, and start looking at assigning those to these chemical products. And it's a totally different kind of process. So that really kind of summarizes that first issue of expiration dates and BUDs.
Excellent, Mark. That clarifies for items that already have dates on them. But what about after opening?
Okay, so after opening, now we kind of start a new clock. So if we're talking about a chemical, be it pre-saturated wipes, be it a bottle of disinfectant or IPA, again, all the testing that was done on the stability of the product was based on before it was open. So now, once we open this bottle, it's got alcohol. Alcohol can evaporate. So the longer I leave that bottle open, the greater chance that I'm going to start losing some of my ingredients that are important for alcohol to work. And particularly with disinfectants, and especially disinfectants that include solvents like TB1 3300, again, the longer that package stays open, the greater the risk that some of that active is going to evaporate. So we kind of call that chemical stability after opening. Now, good processes that people follow is to always close it right after you finish using it. We got a flip top, you always make sure you close that flip top. Pouches a little bit more challenging, but again, making sure you burp that package and close it properly to avoid the risk that that stays open and that you're going to get evaporation and essentially have a dry wipe or a wipe that just has water left. So when we've done these studies, we've shown that products that we manufacture and distribute can last up to 1 to 5 years. 2 weeks for some of these pouches, and up to years, essentially, for some of these products that are aqueous based. So again, not talking about sterility yet particularly, but just talking about chemical stability after opening. We have data showing that certainly those packages can be reopened, the items inside can be used, either the liquid or the wipes, for a period of a couple of weeks ranging up to a period of years, depending on the product. Now, you're not going to find that date on the package, but this is where you work with your representative to get this information, and through your SOPs, develop what is going to be that length of time. I hope that helps kind of answer that. A little bit longer answer on that one.
Absolutely, I appreciate the explanation. But that seems to pertain to chemicals. What about the sterility of an item after opening?
Okay, so that's the big one that that's one really called out by USP 797 that talks about, hey, I have this item, it was sterilized, and now I've opened it. How can I keep using it? How long can I keep using it? Now that one's a little bit more challenging because it really depends not just on the product and the packaging, but how is it handled in the facility. So again, we have done testing that said, all right, we have microbiology capabilities here, and we've done testing either in controlled environments or even uncontrolled laboratory spaces that says, when I open a pouch of wipes and I use that package of wipes over, say, like a 2-week period, what is the bioburden on those wipes after opening? And we've been able to demonstrate again that for like IPA wipes, you can go 2 weeks is what we've demonstrated up to that period, and be able to use those wipes and not be able to detect any contamination within those products. Now, things like Paradox liquid, again, may be a little bit more robust in terms of withstanding any kind of contamination, but we don't want to be relying on the disinfectant to take care of bad hygiene practices and poor aseptic technique. So again, talk to your representative, talk to our folks about what resources and information we have that you can utilize based on your own risk assessment of how you're going to write that date of how long I can use that package after opening. Now, again, we're not going to talk about maintaining sterility. The sterility for all these products, whether it's ours or anybody else's, basically says it's sterile until the seal is broken. So we're not going to use the term sterile, but we're going to talk about how to maintain the hygiene and reduce the risk of contamination after opening. So that kind of addresses those 3 kinds of issues of times before opening, after opening, chemical, hygiene. But I guess I got to turn the question back to you, Robert, of what are folks doing today? What are they've obviously been having to use these kind of products that in some facilities they may not go through a bottle of alcohol or a package of wipes over one shift or even 1 week. So what are some of the things people doing to minimize the risk of contamination?
Yes, Mark, absolutely. So my end users follow many of the same aseptic techniques and principles they use to compound CSPs. They open a bottle inside of the PEC. They make sure to properly reseal the container immediately after using. From there, they'll either place the item out of the way inside that PEC, or when space is a challenge, store the items outside of the PEC, always making sure to wipe down with sterile IPA before reintroducing that item back into that environment.
Yep. And a lot of those guidelines are certainly what we've already seen, common practices in 797, following those. But again, now that 797 has kind of called this out specifically, as you saw on the screen, really manufacturers need to provide some information to help our customers make the right decisions.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mark. What are some of the resources we have to help our customers?
Well, certainly this LinkedIn is, kind of an introduction of this, but we're not, showing any of the data, but we do have technical bulletins that contain all the data of the experiments that we ran with complete disclosure of how those tests were run and what kind of results we found for each of our products. And so that's certainly one aspect. We also have a webinar that that you can watch on recording that we recorded and broadcast several weeks ago that also gets into this idea of material transfer. As I move items into the PEC or I remove items back out and bring them back in, what are the right ways and the right techniques for minimizing the risk of contamination? So I think that's what we're going to talk about today for dwell time, and we're going to take it back to Michael to take us on what's the exciting things that are next.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Robert, for helping us with dwell time today. Again, we've sort of got these small 15-minute dwell time along with other full webinars we do it throughout the year. But all the Contec stuff we've primarily produced has been about Contec products, cleaning and disinfecting, proper garbing and donning and doffing of PPE, and material handling, like Mark just mentioned. But once a year, we have this large event called Cleanovators, and we realize that pharmacists have a lot more on their plates other than just cleaning and disinfecting. So we like to bring in outside experts. This year, we've got Abby Roth from Pure Microbiology. She's going to be talking about sampling in the clean room and preparing those samplings, whether or not you want to take that inside or use a contract lab, and she'll be doing live demos in our clean room set. So it's going to be more than just a PowerPoint presentation. We also have Crystal Stefanik from the North Carolina State Board of Pharmacy. She'll be in the clean room as well, talking about what you need to do to prepare and what you can expect when you're about to be inspected. And then Mark Ham from Aurora Healthcare, his topic is really on point for every pharmacist out there. We're all dealing with staff shortages and drug shortages. So Mark's going to talk about the strategies they employed to deal with that. I can't get out of here today without thanking our production staff back in Spartanburg, South Carolina, in Studio 289. Daniel and Ryan are in there. We've got Rachel with our marketing team. Thanks for helping this broadcast happen. I want to thank Mark and Robert for giving their time to help educate us this morning. And please join us for Cleanovators on Tuesday, October the 17th.